Well, we're really excited to hear about your work here today. And it looks like there are a couple people joining. I know it's hard to get people back from break, and then we've got 2 concurrent sessions, but hopefully we'll get people logged in soon. And just a reminder, everybody, this is recorded. So Deborah, if you don't mind, it will be posted to Whova and people can watch it asynchronously if they're teaching or whatnot.
Sounds good.
Matt, do you want to kick it off, or Jackie?
Yeah, so thanks, Megan. I will go ahead and get us started. And thanks everyone for joining. My name's Jackie. I'm at NREL and I'm going to be the technical host of this unconference session. So if you need any support, just shoot me a quick chat and I'll try to help you. But once again, welcome and thanks for joining this NAWI unconference session. In just a minute, we're going to hear from Deborah Rodriguez of the National Science Foundation's Partnerships for Innovation program. But before we start, I would just like to take a moment to remind everyone that all sessions are available through Whova, and we encourage you to check out as many sessions today as you'd like. You can use Whova to connect with other attendees and speakers as well. And I'll drop a link for Whova in the chat so you can quickly access that if you need to throughout the presentation today. And lastly, these sessions are being recorded, like Megan just reminded us, and they'll be posted to the NAWI community website after the event. So with that, I will turn things over to Deborah.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Jackie, for the introduction and everything, and for inviting me to participate here today. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm gonna talk about a little bit about the NSF and a couple of programs that we have at NSF that I actually manage. And I want to start first. I don't know how many of you are familiar with NSF, so I want to actually start with what's NSF vision, mission, and the core values. So the National Science Foundation is an independent federal agency created by Congress in 1950 to promote the progress of science, but also to advance the national health, prosperity, and welfare, to secure the national defense. And NSF is vital because we support basic research, and we are actually going towards also a little bit more applied research as well. And this is what my talk is about today, and how we are make translational research from fundamental research that NSF funds as of today. NSF is also the primary driver of the US economy, and it enhances the national security and advances the knowledge to sustain global leadership. So NSF is a great funding source for not only basic research, but right now also for applied research as well. And I just want to give a little bit of numbers that NSF, I'd like to share that. So we have about 11,000 number of awards funded every year at NSF. And in 2013, we received $9.9 billion. And thanks to the CHIPS and Science Act that actually allowed us to grow in investment. And it's something that the government wanted pretty much. So our percentage increase actually this year was the largest in more than 2 decades. We got about a 9% increase over that we haven't had in so many years. And we also receive, we fund about 39,000 proposals and about 1.6 billion in STEM education. And one thing that we are very proud of, 258 NSF funded projects, they became Nobel Prize winners as well. So we do support a lot of fundamental and great research in US. And just to give a little bit of an overview about NSF and the programs that we have, many of you are familiar with the different directorates, but right now it was launched recently, the new directorate called Technology, Innovation, and Partnership, called TIP, and I'm actually part of it. And we are still creating a lot of different programs, and this is kind of the portfolio that we have right now in the TIP directorate, and it's led by Erwin Gantiadani and Gretchen Archo, the Deputy Assistant Director. And we have two main tracks in the TIP Directorate. One is called the Innovation and Technology Ecosystem, ITE, which supports mainly youth-inspired research leading to technology and innovation ecosystems. And we have there the large programs like the Convergence Accelerator, the Regional Innovation Engines, and the Experiential Learning and Emerging and Novel Technologies, as well the enabling partnerships to increase innovation capacity. I'm not going to talk about those programs, all of them, because it's too many and it's too short time. But I'm actually part of the other section, which is the Translational Impacts, the TI, which supports technology translation NSF Lab to Market platform. And the one that I'm part of is the Partnership for Innovation called PFI. But we have other programs as well that we collaborate with in PFI, with is the Innovation Corps, I-Corps. And then we have also the SBIR, STTR, which is the American Seed Fund powered by NSF, and other translational pathways, that is the Acceleration Research Translation, Entrepreneur Fellowships, that is more for students, and the POSE, which is the Pathway to Enable Open Source Ecosystem, and the VITAL. Those are some brand new programs that some of them just started this year, and it's still growing, and we are creating new programs as it goes. Now, my focus today is going to be really on the PFI, the Partnership for Innovations, and everything that branches out from it specifically. So the PFI is actually it's a program authorized by Congress. It came from the American Competes Reauthorization Act in 2010. And the idea of this, the Congress wanted actually NSF to create partnerships that promote innovation and increase the impact of research by developing tools and resources to connect new scientific discoveries and practical uses. And later on in 2017, there was another congressional mandate that it was the American Innovation and Competitiveness Act that aimed to accelerate the translation of research results to lead to higher societal impacts, but also at the same time engage the university in an innovative ecosystem to develop new technologies and train faculty and students in technological innovation. And of course, with NSF mission, we are always aiming to engage women and other underrepresented groups as well. So in this particular program, the Partnership for Innovation, we have different deadlines, and we have a solicitation that was launched early this year. The number of the solicitation is 23-538, and you can find this online very easily if you Google it, but I will give some more information. We just receiving this first new cycle in May 2nd, and in September 5th, we have another call, and January 2nd as well. And these repeat annually thereafter. So unless there is some changes in the solicitation. And some important program updates that you can find from the previous old solicitation, you can find in the DCL. So if you don't want to read all the details of the new solicitation, what has changed, you can just go to the Dear Colleague letter, which is called DCL, and this is the number 23-038. In the case of the Partnership for Innovation, there is an NSF lineage requirement. What does that mean? It means that if you have an NSF project, you qualify to apply for the Partnership for Innovation. So you actually need to have a prior funding from NSF to be able to apply for the PFI. You can be you or the co-PI can have the NSF grant. It doesn't have to be the PI. So if you don't have an NSF grant, you can always partner up with somebody that has it, and you can actually apply for the PFI. And it doesn't have to be an active project. It can have ended more than 7 years, at least 7 years. So if it has been more than 7 years, you can't, but if you have an old project that ended less than 7 years, you still can, or you can use your current NSF award. And we are interested in any field of science and engineering. We are not particularly about engineering only. You can, all types of researchers can apply, and all types of projects we accept. And typically, we want the project also to have some traceability in the sense that is derived from research results and discovery. So when you describe your NSF lineage in this program, you need to actually mention how it is related to the project that you had before from NSF and how it links and how you're moving forward your project to a translational research. And there are some exceptions about lineage in this program. So in the past, we used to accept NSF core as a lineage. Now we don't accept anymore any sort of NSF core as a lineage, even from other organizations. We also don't accept lineage from other agencies either. It has to be NSF lineage. And you also need grants that came from RU, or research experience for undergraduate, or research experience for teachers, RETs. We do not use as a lineage, or graduate research fellowship, GRFP, or if you have an SBIR, SCTR award, or a prior KFI award, it doesn't qualify as a lineage for NSF. You have to have a fundamental research behind it from another program. Now, there are many organizations that are eligible. Of course, academic and research institutions, they are eligible. And it can be universities, community college, 2 or 4 year colleges, accredited, and having campus in US. And you can also have public and nonprofit, non-academic US institutions located in US that are associated with technology transfer activities. And you can have also nonprofit organizations that can partner with an institution of higher education to participate. And you can have also consortia of 2 or more organizations, one of those either academic, non-academic, or nonprofit organization participating together and to submit in the PFI program. But again, remember, you still need to have an NSF funded project. So somebody most likely from academic position would have to be participating in this PFI program. Now, the funding and the duration of the projects. So we have 2 tracks in the PFI, the Partnership for Innovation program. One is the TT, which is the technology translation, and we have also the RP, which is research partnership. So the PFI TT is $550K per year, and it's up to 24 months. You can do for less month, of course. And we consider as applied research. So after you did your fundamental research, you're going for applied research and a proof of concept demonstration or prototypes that will come out from your research. In the RP, it's a little bit more involving and it's a more multidisciplinary. So it's 1 million per award and the duration is up to 36 months. It has similar goals than the TT, but the focus is not a single institution, but a multidisciplinary and multi-organizational teams should be formed. And it requires you to have an industrial partner participating in the project as well. In the TT is not required, the industrial partner, but it's encouraged if you can, but it's not a requirement. Now, a little bit more detail about each program. So the TT, which is smaller in amount, is up to 2 years. So the idea is your NSF project that was funded in fundamental research, you want to develop some sort of translational research. So you want to do something that is has a commercial potential demonstration, either in science or in engineering. And the idea is to have a proof of concept, prototyping, or scale up work in this type of project. And you have to have an active co-PI or senior personnel that is a technology commercialization expert, not somebody necessarily that is in industry. It could be a tech transfer person from your institution or it could be from other places. But this person should actually have a knowledge about your industrial sector of your technology and how you would be able to commercialize and make contacts with other industries that would be potentially being interested in your technology. In this case, in this project, it is required to have 1 letter of support to validate market potential and broader impact. The letter of support, I want to clarify, is not a letter of collaboration, meaning letter of support is from somebody that will potentially use your technology, but it's not going to be directly participating in your project. So they will, could be somebody that would license your technology in the future, or once you are done, or could be somebody like a final user for your technology. Like, for example, it's water related, so you might develop a technology that you want to actually sell to water treatment companies, or even governmental companies as well, like states or wastewater treatment plants, and etc. So you can get a lot of support from those individuals or these companies, basically. Now, the RP, like I mentioned, is a little bit more involving. It's also more money. So it's $1 million for 3 years. And it has similar goals than the TT. But again, the project should be more complex and involve more people, more different organizations, could be industry or commercialization industry, or interdisciplinary collaboration. But in the case of the RP, you have to have an industrial partner, at least one. Some have more than one. And this industrial partner, they need to be actually involved directly in your project, not only in the development of the technology, but also in the educational component as well, that I'm going to mention a little bit later. And of course, the project must be industry relevant, must be of interest of your industrial partner. And the industrial partner can be an employee of that particular industry that you selected as a co-PI, or it can also be a senior personnel in some cases, if you're not able to put them in fast lane as a co-PI. And this person has to support the educational objectives of your project as well. Research partners from other institutions or other organizations that I mentioned earlier, they are encouraged as well in this track. Now, a little bit about the industrial partner. The RP track requires the industrial partner, but the TT doesn't require necessarily, but we do encourage. I want to point it out that the industrial partner, they need to be US based. So you cannot use foreign organizations because they do not qualify for this. We want to develop technology in US. Pretty much that's the idea. And they have to have an established record of commercial revenue from sales or licensing. Note that the majority of revenues cannot come from grants of government contracts. So if you're putting as an industrial partner an SBIR SCT company, SCTR company, they have to have already commercial revenue. They cannot have only commercial grants, funding from grants from the government or from other federal agencies. So it has to be selling products, basically. For profit or no profit, you can also have profit and non-profit organization participation. Again, if they are listed as your industrial partner, they also need to meet the revenue requirement that I mentioned for the other companies. And they also need to have proven experience in bringing products and service to the market sector that you are applying in this track, basically, in the RP. Now, one important thing that we like from the industrial partner is that it demonstrates a strategic commercial interest in the PFI technology that is being proposed to NSF. Note that vendors and service providers are not actually considered industrial partners in this case because they are vendors, they are service providers, they are not necessarily interested in selling your technology or licensing your technology. They might be selling things for you or for your project, but not necessarily doing what we are looking for. So SBIR and CTR companies can act as industrial partners. However, again, they still need to be receiving funding and receiving revenues from other sources than the government. So SUBI awards are allowed to those SBIR and CTR companies. And, but of course, you have to keep in mind that the main budget should go to the university or not to the business, basically. The industrial partner needs to show that they are actually interested in the technology, not really on specific getting the money from the PFI, basically. Notice on collaborative proposals. So NSF has two ways of you submitting the proposal. One of them is through collaborative proposals. So each organization receives their award separately and they handle separately. And then you have the sub-awardees type of proposals where you have a main organization that submits, and then that organization will distribute the funds to the sub-awardees afterwards. In the case of the PFI, we do not accept collaborative proposals. So you have to actually have one main institution submitting, one main organization submitting it, and that organization will do the sub-awards to the other organizations. So it's only one proposal that contains different sub-awards for each partner, if that's the case of the project. Now, institutions, they do have a limited number of proposals that can be submitted. So for the TT track, which is the 550K, there is no limit per organization. So you can submit any time in your organization. Now for the RP, there is a deadline, one per deadline. I said that there are 3 deadlines, so you can submit in one of these deadlines, but typically you have an internal competition in your institution to submit. And you also have to take in consideration that you can send 2 proposals per PI or co-PI. And that being said, you can submit either 2 TTs or you can submit 1 TT and 1 RP. If you submit more than that, we'll have to return the one that was submitted later without reviewing it. So we will return to you. Now, awards, there is another caveat as well. So there will be only 2 awards per organization. So if you submit more, chances are that only one will be funded, but not both, because we only award 1 per PI or co-PI. So there is that. There are a few elements of the PFI proposal that we are looking for. So the idea is actually to develop a technology based on fundamental research developed at NSF, and also have a demonstration of commercialization potential of the technology. And like the name says, of the program is Partnership for Innovation. So you need to form partnerships. And you also need to have education and leadership development in innovation and entrepreneurship, typically for students, graduate student or postdocs. And of course, we have the broadening participation that we are always seeking at NSF as well, which minorities, underrepresented groups, etc. So the PFI project is not like a regular NSF grant. In the solicitation is very specific and gives very specific guidelines of what should be present in the project description. And here is just a summary of the key sections that we hope to have in the project description. So typically we have an executive summary that just summarizes the work, the innovation, etc. And then you have the NSF-based research that was using as the lineage to address a market opportunity as well that needs to be presented. Then you have to present the technical challenges, and applied research plan is pretty much like what you're going to be doing in the project in these 3 years or this 1 year and a half that you are proposing. And you have also to have another section on achieving societal impact through the realization of commercialization potential and the project team that you put together and the partnerships that you are creating. And of course, we also have to have an educational component, which is training future leaders in innovation and entrepreneurship. And typically this training is for the students that are going to be involved in a project or a postdoc. And of course, as NSF requires, there is the broadening participation aspect as well, and the broader impacts that needs to be present in the project description. Now, after saying all that, you might question, well, is my project a good fit for PFI? So if you're not sure, after reading the solicitation, you can always email us with a short summary describing what is the NSF lineage that you are using. You can also mention about what's the societal need and market opportunity to be addressed, and the proposed innovation and technological hurdles that you are overcoming with your technology to translate the technology into a product or a service, as well as the pathway to commercialization. Either you're going to go licensing, or you are going to actually be selling, creating a company, what are you going to do basically once you get your technology developed, as well as the team and partners you will be bringing to the PFI project. So it's typically a short summary. It would be just 1 page with this type of information for us to gauge whether it's a good fit or not, and help us guide you a little bit better how to do the approach, even if it's better for RT or RP track as well. So what do we intend with the PFI program? What are the outcomes that we are seeking? So we want actually to have commercialization of IP derived from the NSF-funded research. Some PFI projects already have IP developed, which is fine. Some don't, and they will develop during the PFI program, which is fine. But we also want to have this project to have outputs to third-party corporations, either as licensing or creating a startup company as well. And ultimately, we want to foster collaborations with industry and train the future innovation and entrepreneurship leaders by educating the students and the postdoc. Also, we want to have increased participation of women, minorities, and persons with disability in innovation and entrepreneurship. We want to reach the missing millions, basically. That's the main goal of NSF. There are some resources for the applicants, some about the deadlines, the solicitation, and also some questions and answers that can be found. And you can also always contact us directly at pfi@nsf.gov as well, and sign up for our email lists as well. Now, the types of encouraged topics and partnerships, NSF has been investing quite a bit in Chips and Science Act. There were 10 technological focus areas, and there are many related to artificial intelligence, high performance computing, quantum information, robotics, automation, advanced manufacturing, prevention of and mitigation of anthropogenic disaster, communication technology, biotechnology, medical technology, data storage and data management, advanced energy and industrial effectiveness technologies such as battery, water treatment, electric generation, as well as advanced material science, including 2D materials, next generation materials, and manufacturing technologies. But you can see other areas. So these are the main areas for the Chips and Science Act that NSF has been going towards. And we also have other types of partnerships as well. I will mention briefly about the Mid-Career Advancement Program, but also the Bio-Inspired Design collaboration as well to accelerate discovery and translation in biodesign. And we also have some collaborations with other programs at NSF in advancing education innovation and broadening participation, called blockchain technology. And with critical aspects of sustainability, CAS, and innovative solution of sustainable chemistry as well, that we are part of. And we participate with this program. Now, I want to mention that we just launched a new DCL, a new Dear Colleague letter based on bio-inspired design collaborations. This is really early stage researchers getting together with transdisciplinary collaboration with two or more investigators from biological and engineering science with potential for bio-inspired design applications. The idea is to accelerate translation of research findings into projects with potential societal and economical impact. And we also have another program that is called Mid-Career Advancement Program. So any faculty member that are actually at associate level would be highly interested in that. There are several directors that are participating. Engineering, unfortunately, is not, but we receive a lot of MCA projects from engineering through the PFI program, basically. So the idea of the MCA is really tap onto the advancement of career of associate professors. So it's the next step after the career award, basically. And so we put a lot of money on creating many opportunities for young investigators, and we felt that it was missing an important recruitment part in retention, which is the associate level, to keep them happy and progressing in their careers, basically. So that's the idea of the MCA. And we know that the MCA, especially for women and underrepresented groups in leadership ranks, is also something that has been shown to be lacking as well in many fields, but more specifically in engineering and in. So there is a lot of interest in actually reducing this gap, basically, and creating a more inducive research experience for them and reducing the imbalancing workload once you become an associate professor. So the Mid-Career Advancement Program, which has also a solicitation called 22-603, so the primary goal is to ensure that the scientists and engineers, they remain engaged and active in research where they actually receive a lot of additional work, like more teaching because they become associate professors, or they have less time for research, or sometimes they start family at this time. So we want to make sure that we give opportunity to this other class of faculty members to allow them to continue to have high research productivity and retention and help them develop their career, advance their career, basically. So there are a few aspects of this program. It's cross-directorate and it's targeted to mid-career stage, and it has actually protect time and resources to work with a partner. And typically people that applies for the PFI MCA, they are ready to go to the next step, is actually apply for the full PFI, basically, because they develop enough information. And this doesn't have to be necessarily well-fleshed idea for application yet. You can also use fundamental research with interest in developing translational research. So the submission window has passed for this year, but will be again next year in February 1st to March 1st, and annually the year after. So, and the MCA is very unique in the sense that we give 6.5 month salary for the PI over the 3-year period of the project. And it doesn't have to be current ideas or current NSF funded projects. If you have prior funding, but you want to change directions or go in different areas or advance different fields, you can actually pursue through the MCA, because we want to know your past achievements, but we want to know where you want to go next. And if you have bold and new ideas or creative research ideas that you want to do, that's the MCA that you want to actually apply for. And we want also you to learn new skills and make research competitive again for you, for your portfolio. And through the MCA in the PFI, we want you to also create partnerships and mentorship. So you actually combine your activities, and you have to have a mentor and a partner, typically from industrial settings, to help you advance your career and expand your professional network. That's the main idea. So just to give an idea, the MCA program is NSF-wide, and there are different directorates participating: Bio, EHR, Geo, SBE, TIP, us, through PFI, and OEA. Engineering is not part of it. But who we are focusing for the mid-career, it's, again, like I said, is scientists and engineers at the associate professor rank or equivalent, at least 3 years at that rank. So you can apply if you have been 3 years as an associate professor. And the opportunity is to advance the PI research program and career through mutualistic and synergistic beneficial mentoring partnership. And we want to ensure that the PI remain active in cutting edge research, where they have a lot of constraints with time related to higher teaching load and more services when you become an associate professor. So we want to make sure that you become active and productive, and you keep going and advance your career as well. And it provides, for that, it provides a salary up to 6.5 months and 100K indirect cost for research and training. So this is not counting the indirect. 100K is only direct costs, basically. So, and the good thing about the MCA solicitation, it's also not like a regular NSF project. It's only 12-page project description. And we have 3 main sections. One is the candidate past research, and it doesn't need to be linked to the research that they are planning to do in the MCA project. But you also need to put a candidate's research advancement and training plan, how the mentors and the partnership is going to help them to develop and grow their career, and also the long-term career plans. Of course, you have the references, the biostats that are required from the PI, and the partners. And you need to have an additional supplementary documentation, a letter from the department agreeing on giving you the time to focus on your research, and letters of collaboration as well from your partners, and an impact statement if you get awarded. PFI accepts mid-career as well. It's slightly different from the other MCA from other directorates, because we in PFI, we are looking for use-inspired and translational research that we advance breakthrough technologies. So you don't have to have a technology when you apply to MCA, but you have to have something that you think you will get at the end of the MCA. We also want you to have an entrepreneurial education as well. It's not required to do the NSFI core, but we encourage strongly for you to participate, and also to have a leadership development plan as well towards your commercialization of your technology, and that will make an societal impact. You should have also a synergistic and mutually beneficial partnership with your partner, which include collaborations with industry as well. And you should also have a broadening participation in STEM, innovation, and entrepreneurial enterprise. This is specifically for the PFI, if you are applying for the MCA. The mid-career for other directorates is slightly different. It doesn't require the use-inspired aspects in entrepreneurial education, but it does require partnerships too, not necessarily with industry, but with other mentoring activities. So again, I want to highlight that you get a protected salary for up to 6.5 months of salary, plus the fringe benefit of the course of the grant. And you also have 100K in support for the research, advancement, and training. You can budget students if you want. And there are other supplements available at NSF. I'm going to say this, that is not only for PFI, but for throughout NSF, in case you don't know, but I want to make everybody aware. If you have an NSF grant, you can always ask for supplements. And it should be submitted through Fastlane, but you should always call or email the PD about and see if they have funds, and they will be willing to fund you an additional supplement. Oops. So supplements are competitive, but they are analyzed within NSF. So it's not that we send for external review or panels. Now, PFI has some specific supplements. So we have patent expenses supplement as well, up to 50K. So if you have a technology that you want to patent, but for some reason your university does not want to patent it, you can apply for this supplement, and we'll gladly give it to you so you can patent your technology. We also have what's called the intern, which is a non-academic graduate student traineeship. So if you want to send your student to a national lab or to industry, or I don't know, a non-governmental agency, but it has to be outside of your university and in a different training set, you can also ask for an intern. We typically grant up to 2 research experience for undergrads every year, if you want to ask. And then we have other supplements as well that we work with. So here, just to give you an idea, but those supplements are RET, research experience for veterans, high school assistantship. Those are actually several programs that NSF participates. So you can ask if you have other funding from NSF, basically, but you can also ask to PFI as well. And here you have on the right corner you have the amounts of each that amount that you can request. But again, you should always contact the program officer to see whether they are willing to give you the money, and if they have the money to give you, basically. There is the goalie supplement as well, and the space, which is more for space-related work. And this is 20% off to not exceed your budget, total award budget, basically. So, and those are a little bit more competitive and requires a little bit more inquiry from the program officer, because sometimes they don't have the money for that, especially depending on the period that you are asking for the money. So if you have any questions and you want to learn more about it, you can always go to our website, NSF tip latest, and also you have the PFI program as well. Otherwise, you can contact us. We are 3 program officers in this program. You have Jesus Soriano, Samir Iqbal, and myself, Deborah Rodriguez. And we have the general email, the pfi@nsf.gov as well, that if you don't want to email anybody in particular, you can email there, and then we'll make sure to answer your questions. And that's what I have. And I'll take any questions that any of you might have. So,
Deborah, thank you so much. That was an incredible overview and really exciting to see all that NSF is doing in the space. I was particularly interested in a lot of the collaborations that your program in particular is fostering with the industry. And I'm wondering if there are any projects to date that you funded in the water or wastewater treatment space that have been a success and are kind of templates for how this community could leverage those funds.
So we do have a lot of, I'm not going to say that we have a lot. That's why I'm reaching out to this community. I'm going to be honest with you. Great. Because honestly, I run a lot of the environmental panels, which is related to water. And of course, majority of the proposals that I receive in environmental engineering is really like water related. Sadly, we do not receive a lot. That's why I'm reaching out to this community. But we do have a few projects that got funded, and I've been actually talking to Mamadou from CBET. He has an Erase program on PFAS. So there is this big initiative. So I have funded a few PFAS projects and in water treatment and biotechnology as well. But it's still at the beginning. There are not any major breakthrough yet. But I'm relatively new, so in the program,
of course.
So I don't know if older projects have succeeded well in water. But we've had a lot of success with many different industries as well. And many of them, they finish the PFI. The next step is going to SBIR, STTR as funding. And some of them, they actually, they are able to raise a lot of money and go to phase 1, phase 2, 2A from the SBIR program. So
you kind of see this as like pre-SBIR, STTR.
Oh, yes, it is pre. It's totally pre. It's like as soon as you finish your NSF project, if you might have an idea about something that you want to develop to become a technology or a prototype, or that's when you apply to us. You don't have to have completely fleshed out a prototype, or actually you shouldn't have, because if you're ready for commercialization, you go to SBIR, STTR. So this one is really like pre, and that's when you also start to find partners and companies that would be interested in your technology and collaborating with you, and to basically develop your technology and even commercialize it. So that's the main thing. Yes. That was a great question.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions?
No.
Deborah, one other question for you. Just you know, I think NAWI has really tried to advanced the idea of doing kind of like research that's partnered with industry. And so I think a lot of NAWI's research teams are already have those industry partners. I know that you mentioned that, you didn't necessarily have to have an industry, and that there were some limitations on the amount of funds that can go to an industrial partner in these cases. And I'm just wondering, like, are there well, I actually have two questions there. The first is, can you remind us exactly what that breakdown or like your ideal distribution of funds to the academic partners, maybe the long-term commercializers of that technology are, and then the subcontractors to help kind of make that all come together? That's my first question. Like, what's an ideal breakdown of funds? And then the second would be, NAWI does a lot of thinking also about business models, and I-Corps, we've had a couple of teams go through I-Corps, including several of my students, that were starting to develop the tools that NAWI was working on. And so I'm wondering, in some of these examples, what counts as I-Corps participation? Like, if people have done an NSF I-Corps versus a DOE I-Corps, versus their students have done the DOE I-Corps, but they haven't, or they've done some program internal to a university that's been commercialization focused. How does PFI or basically the TIP program generally view these different types of programs, and is there a strong preference for the NSF version of I-Corps?
Okay, well, those are two interesting questions.
I'm sorry for the
no, that's totally fine. So about the breakdown, to answer your first question about the breakdown on funding, we don't actually have numbers, to be honest. It varies across the project. It really depends on the involvement and the justification that you put in your budget, and the involvement of the company and all. But we typically, I'm going to be honest with you, it doesn't reveal very well when a lot of funding is put in the industrial partner. That's something that we have seen in many panels, because the funding is really for the faculty member or the other organizations to actually develop and grow and develop a technology. So if there is too much money for the small business or something, we typically, the way that it's seen is that maybe it was a better fit to go directly to SBIR STTR. Yeah. So we really want to fund the PI, not the industrial partner. So many cases, the industrial partner do not receive any funding at all. And this is seen very positively, because then we know specifically that the industrial partner is interested in the technology. So you can fund them maybe as a consulting fees type of things as well. Yep. So add some consulting fees so to help them offset some of their time. That's totally possible. But it shouldn't be a major part of the budget. The majority should be really for the PI that is developing the technology.
If there are, for instance, like demonstration costs. So I think about a lot of our NAWI projects are like ready to move into a piloting phase, let's say, and they actually need to be at a facility. And so those facilities incur costs associated with installing the technology or piloting. Are those kind of reasonable costs, because they're R&D costs, but they're costs that are incurred by a facility? I'm just trying to think about like RPIs and where they...
You can put costs for building up something. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Because the idea is to have a prototype anyway.
Right.
The end product for the PFI.
But sometimes it's expensive. Yeah.
Yes. So we have projects that they really build something completely from scratch. And but what we don't want is that the industrial partner to not be like a vendor, but be somebody that will be willing to give the space, and and if your university would actually buy all the materials and everything and building there, and but be careful with cost sharing. NSF does not allow cost sharing, so don't use the word cost sharing in your We are gonna work in the facility of
It's the opposite of
partner.
NAWI, where we are always looking for cost shares.
Yes, NSF does not
A warning
like
to
cost
those
share.
of you listening to the recording. Yeah, the
Yes.
point about no cost share is very important at NSF. The point about cost share at NAWI is very important for DOE.
Right. You can always do cost sharing, but you shouldn't write in the proposal. You should not let us know about it. As long as you don't say it.
This is a recorded line, Deborah.
Oh yeah, sure. So delete that. But no, we do not allow cost share, period. Yeah. That's what it is. And yeah, basically. And we ask PIs to, if they come to us when we do due diligence, we send it back. And I said, like, fix it. We do not allow it. Yep. So this is something with industrial partners that needs to be careful when you submit to NSF. Now, to your second question, you ask like how it is the pathway. Well, typically, the way that we see at NSF, we see that if you have an idea, it's always good to do an NSFI core before the PFI. Why is that? Because you actually get to actually understand a little bit the market. What is how and you get the support letters and you build collaborations as well. So it's much easier for you to build your team basically when you do the NSFI core before. Some people, they go straight to the PFI without the I-Core. So the PFI does require you to do the NSF I-Core no matter what. If you have done the I-Core before and you receive the money from NSF through the NSF I-Core, because you can apply it, it's a $50K grant, and you can apply and get this funding. So it would be another award. And then you don't need to do it again in the PFI. Now, if you did NSF I-Core in other agencies or with nodes that is not part of an NSF grant, you still need to do it when you get the PFI. Doesn't matter. NSF, the PFI really requires you to do no matter what, because they want to make sure that you are on track and your technology is really meeting the needs of the society. And there are many cases that you have an idea about a technology, but you think that it's perfect for that market. When you do the I-Core, you realize, oh, maybe not this market, but there is this other market that will actually be more interested and more productive and more profitable than this other one. So it opens up new venues and new ideas of where you can go, basically. So that's actually something that, and then after you finish your PFI, typically you go for the SBIR STTR, unless you decide to license your technology. But we have a lot of PIs, they start their own company and they continue, and we try to feed them to the SBIR STTR to get them ready for that too, through the PFI. So that's kind of the pathway that we see for the translational research. And of course, everything starts with the NSF funding that you received, and you want to translate it somehow. Yeah. So
great.
That's how it is. So
yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Any other questions? Yeah, those are very good questions, Megan. Those are very, and DOE and NSF are very different. Although NSF always pioneered all these programs, and then other agencies have followed them and developed. And the TIP directorate is growing tremendously. And there are a lot of new solicitations coming up and changing, and it's very exciting. And now more and more the TIP is collaborating with a lot of different directorates as well and trying to find partnerships within NSF. So it's very exciting. It's a new era, I guess, that we are entering. And that
is your sense.
Yes.
The mid-career opportunity was also really interesting. I'm wondering what your sense is of why engineering directorate is not participating.
They used to have another program called Bright, if I'm not mistaken, but it wasn't. I don't think it was very successful. because the way that it happens in Bright is that it's kind of secondary the way that they fund. So you compete with everybody at the end of the day. And so the number of awards wasn't as high. I know that they are relaunching it, I believe, or they already relaunched it. But Bright was the one, and we are trying to convince engineering to participate as well in the MCA, but I don't know if it's going to happen or not. This is ongoing discussions, and we're trying to get all the directorates as well. But the thing about the MCA is that the MCA is really like it's global at NSF, and it's very different than the other programs because of the time relief that you have, the money guarantee for independent of
other activities,
indirect costs and all. So it is a program that it's very interesting, and we've seen a lot of success on associate professors that have been for many years as associate professors, sometimes 8 years, and they got this grant and they were able to move forward and become full professors. And that is something that has been very rewarding for us and has been great. Now, the PFI has been taking the engineers that want to apply to the MCA, basically.
Of course.
We always direct them, if you don't find a place in the PFI, in the engineering, just come to us. And we try to work with them because the MCA, the requirements are much looser, and there is way less requirements than what we have for the PFI. So, so it's easier.
Deborah, thank you so much. This was an amazing overview, and I think really complementary to what NAWI is doing. I think, as you said, NSF and DOE's funding mechanisms are a little bit different, but the goals are really the same. And so finding kind of complementarity between the programs is particularly valuable. We have 2 more minutes. Walt, if you would like to ask a question, we can do that, but we need to end at 11:30 Pacific sharp so that people can take a short break and return to the next session.
Sounds good. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay, maybe there are no.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning over there. How are you?
Good, good.
Or actually, good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. So I'm also on the East Coast. So for National Science Foundation, as well as NAWI members, I was wondering how would be the best way to coordinate potential partnerships and projects for inclusion with the National Science Foundation. Thanks.
Well, I think NAWI is a great resource for coordinating those types of partnerships because wearing my EOH hat, I'm also a faculty at the University of Houston, and I participated with the NAWI as well when they were preparing. And I know that they collected a lot of industrial partners, and they do have a lot of contacts. So I think they can actually help you identify potential partners that they have.
Hive Bright would be a great place to say, hey, I'm interested in doing this. NAWI Alliance members, is there anyone here that is interested in supporting that? And I am confident you'll get an enthusiastic response.
I am confident too. And we have open doors for any PI that wants to submit a proposal. And if you got your partner, even better. But again, Walt, if you didn't get a partner, you can always submit to the TT. That doesn't require an industrial partner. You need a tech transfer person that knows about your technology, but you don't necessarily. But of course, if you want to go for the 1 million, I encourage you to make the effort to talk to the NAWI folks, the leadership in NAWI, and get them. And you know Megan already, so So you can reach out to her.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Deborah. This was lovely. Take care, everybody. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.